with Daily Valley News as the Los Angeles Clippers had a tremendous win yet again against the Portland Trailblazers, beating them by a score of 111-80. Stay tuned.
Like them. I mean, our energy's good. Our defense is, again, it's our defense. You know, our offense has been great. I mean, there was a point where we're scoring almost every time down, but I just think your defense really, it does two things. It kind of breaks the spirit on the other end on their defense because they can't score, so they're thinking about scoring, and so it's good. I mean, we just got to keep doing it, you know, and keep getting better at it.
Can you talk about how much confidence you have in Brandon Bass to close out games?
I have confidence in all our guys. They're all good. You know, it's a great team where when you have Brandon Bass and Alan Anderson and Paul Pierce, guys that you can go to, that's as good as it gets.
Doc, back here, with the start you guys are off to and the way you're playing right now, does it remind you, this team remind you at all of anything you saw from those Boston teams you had with KG and Pierce and Ray Allen?
Their spirit does. I actually told Scalabrine that today. I was talking to him, and I told him this group was the first group that remind me of their that same like spirit. Like they're just playing. It's really a no nonsense group. You know, they get along. They understand their roles. They buy into it. They can argue and laugh 2 minutes later. You know, it's just a good spirit. And that they get upset when the other team scores. You know, the Boston group, you know, offensively we're not. This is a really good offensive group here, but both groups don't like when the other team score, and that's a nice thing to see.
You talked before the game about the two five-man groups playing so much together. Could that be a reason why the defense is so consistent across the two units?
It could be. You know, I don't think it is, but it could be because they do have continuity. They kind of know each other. When you put like Blake or DJ in with that group, you do have to change things a little bit. The second group, you know, they switch 1 through 4. You know, when you go bigger, they don't switch as much. So you do make some changes, but I think they just are both locked in on defensive end, and I think you know, so I think anyone can play with either group.
Allen hadn't played all season before today, but
Yeah.
It seems like every time somebody makes a play on the court.
He's the best teammate in the world, literally. He's amazing. Whether he plays or not, he's the first guy to someone. He recognizes when a guy is out on the floor. If he's struggling mentally, he goes to him. He's a truth teller. Reminds me a lot of Ty Lue, you know, when I coached him for 10 games. I got fired after that, so. But
you're 8 games in now.
yeah, exactly. I got 2 left. You know, but it does. He reminds me a lot of that, where he can tell you the brutal, honest truth, and the guys receive it. I think that's a gift.
Hey Doc, I know you're only 8 games into the season, and the knock on this team the last couple of years is that you guys didn't have the killer instinct to put teams away. You're not going to do it every game, obviously, but it seems like you guys have the killer instinct early in games, and you're keeping your foot on the throttle. Is that a big difference in this year's team?
Yeah, I think that's an area we have to grow in. I mean, clearly we've had leads in the past, and it'll happen again this year at some point. It just happens anyway in our league, but we did it a lot in the past, and right now when we get a lead, it seems like they want to run it up more. And they they just stay disciplined. They don't start, you know, going to, you know, the Showtime stuff. You know, they get the Showtime stuff just from playing solid. You know, and I think that's good for us. I hope we can continue to do it.
Doc, with the lead, with your record now, it seems like you guys are not chasing other teams to overtake them, but yet you're the forerunner. What does it feel like to be a forerunner early in the season and to do what you're doing today?
You know me, I really don't know our record. How many games have we played? All right, so I know our record. I don't pay much attention to it. You know, my whole thing is getting better and pushing guys to stay consistent when you are good. So I get all the other stuff because it always going to play out and it's going to take care of itself. But it takes care of itself if you do your job. And as a group, we're doing our jobs.
Doc, I know you addressed it before the game, but almost every NBA coach has been asked about it and talked about the election last night. Protests outside this arena last night during the game. Can you just update?
Well, we have a
your
right
thoughts
to
there?
protest, you know, and there's nothing wrong. That's the American way. Like, protest is a good thing. You know, the election didn't go the way I wanted it to go. I said that. I personally know Donald Trump. I've golfed with him and I know him, and I don't think there's anyone who runs for president that wants to do bad. You know, I really don't. So, you know, he won, and my take on it, let's give him a chance and see what he can do. You know, that's the only way anyway now. So let's go with that. You still have a right for your voice to be heard. You know, like I said before, voting is really important, and I think that lesson was learned here. But I do sympathize with some of the people that didn't vote because they feel like their voice is not being heard. And, you know, I grew up in the inner city, and, you know, a lot of things have not changed. And my parents voted every year. So we have to figure out a way to improve our country. And we have to figure out a way, for me, if you know me, to educate our kids. And the way we've done that has not worked, clearly. And so if it keeps not working, there will be civil disobedience. You know that. And so we have to figure it out. But right now, we have a president in office who is terrific, and we have one coming in that has done nothing yet, and you got to give him a shot because he's going to be president. That's a guarantee. And so to me, let's see, you know, let's see if the Congress and the Senate can actually work together. They're all the same party. They can. In 2 years, go vote, and you can change it all. You really can, and I hope everyone hears that. I mean, voting is powerful. It really is. That's what we're going to have to exercise.
Every day, make a positive difference to a child in LA. To meet this commitment, the LA Clippers